You know what? Let's just jump into Pistons stuff. Let's just dive into Pistons. We'll talk about what's going on with the team, what they did, and so on and so forth. So Pistons made a draft choice that has been, I would say, pretty controversial. One way or the other, the Pistons draft Ron Holland out of the G League. One Ron Holland was a forward for the G League Ignite, everybody's favorite team. Everybody keeps telling me, Mike, why don't you watch the G League Ignite? Everybody's talking about the G League Ignite. Who isn't watching the G League Ignite would be a more important question. But they take another G League Ignite player, obviously. Last year, Asar Thompson for the G League Ignite. And similar to Asar Thompson, Ron Holland also can't shoot from three. So that's good. So here's my thing, okay? There are basically two angles people are taking with this. Angle number one is Pistons need shooters. They draft a guy who is not a shooter. They're lost, essentially. I'm probably more on that side than I am on side B. But side B does have some merit. On the other end, you take a guy who's an experiment, who's going to take years, and it signals to the fans that basically we're starting over. We're rebuilding the rebuild. Similar to what the Tigers are doing right now, the Trajan Langdon administration is rebuilding the rebuild in Detroit. But a little on one Ronnie Holland. So he shot a solid 24% from three, which is not good. It's not good. Now, to be fair, I want to say he attempted just like 44 threes or something like that. Like it wasn't a large volume of threes that he attempted, and he only attempted 3 a game, 3.5 a game. I don't know. That seems like a lot to me, but hey, that's 12 points or that's 9 points on the board that you're throwing in the air and not making most of them. So for one, the guy can't shoot. And now I want to say this was something that nobody really talked about. He also wasn't particularly great from the free throw line. So it's not just his, he can't shoot from the distance. He struggled shooting from the line. He shot just 75% from the free throw line. That don't cut it. All right, like you got to be in the high 90s from the free throw line, especially if you're supposed to be this uber athlete, drive to the basket, do a little bit of everything, lob, jam, all that stuff. You got to be able to shoot the free throw. And I can't believe I have to explain that to a professional basketball player, that you have to, in fact, be able to make your free throws. Unless you're Shaquille O'Neal, which by all indications, I don't think Ron Holland is, especially seeing as he is 6'8", 206 pounds, as opposed to whatever Shaq is, 6'10", 500 pounds or whatever. So as far as his counting stats, he had 19 points, 6 boards, 3 assists. I don't know what the 11 PIE is. I don't know. But there's one thing about this guy that is not entirely in his control. However, I will say is completely indicative of this team. Ron Holland played for the G League Ignite. Of course, everybody's favorite team. Everybody talks about the G League Ignite. Nobody can get enough of the G League. Everybody was watching this guy, right? I mean, everybody's anybody who questions. I mean, obviously they haven't watched the G League Ignite because everybody is watching the G League Ignite. Anyway, the G League Ignite went 2-32. Let me just say that one more time. The G League Ignite went 2. That means 1-2. The 2 wins. And 32. They were 29th in points per game, 30th in rebounds per game, 18th in assists per game, and I don't know what OPG is. OPG. I actually don't know. Hold on. Whatever. Very bad. They were 27th in that. Whatever it is, I don't know. They were bad at it. Maybe that's. I really don't know what OPG is. I'm usually pretty good at knowing what these generic stats are, but I guess I don't. Wow. And by the way, Ron Holland will be 19 years old in just a few days here. His birthday is July the 7th. So, we drafted a 19-year-old. And look, I'm not going to say that never is going to work out. However, what I will say is I have yet to see any G League player work out. Like Jalen Green is about the closest guy we've got to a G League player having success, and he's nothing special as far as I'm concerned. Like he's a good player. He's not like the worst, but he'll have nights where he'll go off and really look like a superstar, and then he'll have nights where he just kind of looks like an average player. And I don't have a whole lot of faith in this development league and the G League as a league, as a pathway to being an all NBA or just superstar level player in the NBA. I just don't see it. And I guess on top of that, we're also dealing with a franchise that infamously cannot develop from the draft. I mean, even when we were good back in the early 2000s, right? Even when we were good, as my microphone wants to be very doesn't want to. All right, we're gonna deal with that. Even when we were good in the early 2000s, one of the knocks on Joe Dumars was he really wasn't all that good of a drafter. I mean, you look at the team that won in 04. I want to say the only player that was drafted on that team that actually played considerable minutes was Tayshaun Prince. And he was drafted out of a bad draft class. So look, maybe Ron Holland is Trajan Langdon's Tayshaun Prince. Maybe. I would love for that. I love Tayshaun Prince when he was here. He's one of my favorite childhood players. I mean, we used to use him in the intro of the show. But I'm sorry, like whenever I hear about like, oh, this guy, he's an elite athlete. He's got crazy athleticism. He's young. He's physical. Like it's like, okay, what? Show me statistically what he's capable of. Well, he shot 24% from three and 75% from the free throw line and 44% from the field in general on 33 minutes played in 14 games. Doesn't do much for me. Now, look, again, here's the thing. A lot of people were talking about this coach that we'll talk about the coach in a second, but a lot of people were talking about the coach that was brought in from, I want to say New Orleans. I don't remember the guy's name, but basically the shooting guru assistant coach that was brought in, who's supposed to be able to fix everybody's shot. And I'm sorry, like maybe he does. Maybe he proves me wrong. Asar Thompson goes from an 18% three-point shooter to a 35% three-point shooter. And Cade turns into a 40%. Like, I don't know. Like, it could be. It probably won't, but it could be. And either way, like, you're drafting guys that are in the bottom in terms of their three-point percent. We're not talking about, like I saw a lot of people talking about Jaylen Brown. Look, Jaylen Brown in college, I believe he shot 29% from three. Like, in college, that's a different story, right? Like, that's 29%, like just about 30%. That's, you can deal with that, right? Like, you can work with that and you can grow and be better. And you got to think as well, he's shooting 29% against college athletes in, filled up stadiums, people going crazy against a lot of future actual NBA players. I don't know any of the guys on the G League. And they're playing in empty gyms. And, it's like if you're, 6'8", you're just going to dominate. Because if you're 6'8" and you're physically gifted, you're just going to dominate. Like we saw it with Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson last year was seen as this, can't miss prospect, this superstar in the making, and he stinks. He just straight up stinks. Now look, he's still got a lot of time. I know some people might say, well, he's just 1 year. He's got a lot of time, but not a great start. And I frankly, I don't really believe in Scoot Henderson, but that's a whole other discussion. I want to move on quickly here then to some of the other Pistons related news. So the other thing the Pistons did, they traded for Tim Hardaway Jr. I think this is a pretty good pick, or a pretty good pickup. So they get rid of Quentin Grimes. They grab Tim Hardaway Jr. First of all, Tim Hardaway Jr., the thing that I have been asking for is that he is an adult in the room. He's a veteran. He's, I think, a fairly respectable player in your lineup. Last year he shot 40% from the field, 14 points, three boards, about an assist a game. He also did that on, 35% three, which is probably about where most of your team is anyway. So look, I really don't have a problem with it. I think it's great that you managed to get something for Quentin Grimes. On top of, you also get you get 3 second rounders with him, so it's a bloated contract, but you get a bunch of picks with it, and you get rid of a player who had no future here in Quentin Grimes. Thanks, Troy Weaver, for bringing this guy in for no reason. But hey, you managed to make lemonade out of lemons in that situation. The other thing that happened was the Pistons hired a coach. They brought in JB Bickerstaff. So we talked about this last week. He was one of the guys on the list for the Pistons to hire. And I don't really have a feeling about this. I mean, for one, I think I'm probably pro this. I'm not going to declare this a slam dunk hire, as previous slam dunk hires declared by me did not go so well. So yeah, he helped the Cavs, kind of develop and get into the playoffs. He'd been there for several years at that point. And I don't know if he's going to be the coach that leads the Pistons back to championship glory, but I don't know. He might be a helpful bridge coach, if that. He's been given an impossible task of having to head coach this team. But hey, look, with some right moves being made potentially, and maybe, these guys that you drafted and brought in, maybe they changed the way this team looks, and it might have just been you were dealing with a coach who didn't want to be there. I don't know. But overall, I guess, okay, it's a fair hire. They're at least hiring. Did I say it's a fair fire? It's a fair hire. They're at least hiring, somebody with some head coaching experience, I guess. I don't know if that really does much for me. Dwayne Casey had a lot of head coaching experience. So did Monty Williams. But anyway, the other couple of news here related to the Pistons is one, Cade Cunningham is here to stay for at least the next 5 years. He signs a 5-year, $226 million rookie extension. So, look, I was going to wear my Cade shirt today, but I actually forgot. But hey, Cade's back. Looks like the Pistons are going to build around this guy. So, hey, so far no trade has been requested. So that's good. He wants to. He's at least, for the money, he's willing to stay here. And I would love to be able to build around this guy. I mean, obviously, you took him first overall. It would be an absolute crime if you don't manage to do anything with him one way or the other. And look, he seems like a nice enough player. I mean, I need to see a large jump from this past season to this upcoming season. And obviously, you just gotta show me that you have a future as either an all-star or as like either a perennial all-star or a perennial all-NBA kind of guy. And some might say that's unfair. The guy was taken number 1 overall. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's too valuable to this franchise to be kind of a mid-level player. And I understand we're going to be in the draft lottery for at least the next couple of years, but it's not like that's anything new here. But he's just got to be something. If he can be that superstar, all NBA caliber player, if he can be our, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, or heaven forbid, if he can be a Nikola Jokic-esque player, I don't know that he will be. They're not the same kind of player, but you know what I mean? A franchise-altering player, then this deal is going to go down as a home run. But if he's just kind of mid, then I don't know. I guess maybe you can see if you can try to trade him. I don't know. But as it stands, hooray, Cade is back. I'm feeling just.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
Thank you, Kamala. And one more thing here, just before we head to some other news. Tobias Harris signs with the Pistons.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
That's right, Kamala. We're out here in these streets. I'm not mad. Well, that's not true. I am mad. Why did we sign Tobias Harris? Why did we do that? For one, I understand that you have to field the team, right? You have to put people out there, and Tobias Harris is a veteran, and he's got experience in the league, and he played for the Pistons, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. He disgusts me. When I look at Tobias Harris, I'm disgusted. And the fact that I'm going to have to look at his body for at least the next couple of seasons, it disgusts me. It gives me nothing but anger and disgust. How many more times can I fit disgust into this? But okay, Tobias Harris is a Piston. I'm a little confused as to why we were like front runners in the sense of like we immediately were like, we got to sign this guy. I'm like, wow, that was fast. We didn't even like wait to see if another team would just take him off our hands, sort of thing. But okay. All right. That's pretty much it for the Pistons moves as of right now. I got to imagine Tobias Harris is going to be the headlining move, and this upcoming season is basically just going to be a year of development. It's going to be a year of seeing what you got with Cade, with Ivy, with Duran, and seeing how they can jive with Tim Hardaway, if they can develop with Tim Hardaway, if Tobias Harris can provide some veteran presence. I mean, jokes aside, Tobias Harris is like, I mean, the guy has been in the league for well over a decade at this point. Like, you know, jokes aside, it's not like he's some like bum off the streets. He's not a great player. He's not a Hall of Fame player, but he's certainly not a nobody. But I don't know. I think his tenure with Philadelphia has obviously sullied his already kind of dubious reputation. But hey, welcome back, Tobias Harris. Back to the Pistons. He was on that 2016 Pistons team that made the playoffs. So hey, you know, maybe he'll make the playoffs with us again. You know, maybe. He's not going to do that. It's not going to happen. But either way, yeah, Pistons. I suppose I'm not like throw my chair out the window angry, but I'm also like, okay, you know, if Trajan Langdon is the guy, I got a feeling we're going to know relatively quickly. And it'll be with what we see from Ron Holland. It'll be from what we see from the new head coach. It'll be from what we see from the development of Cade Cunningham and the other young players. And it'll be as far as the rest of the offseason goes. I wouldn't be surprised if we make a trade for a bad contract to get some more picks because, hey, this team needs picks. We need draft capital. If we want to be like the Oklahoma City Thunder, we got to start taking on some bad contracts, okay? So, Zach LaVine, you are a Piston, hopefully, with like 3 first-round picks for the next like 3 years, please. Anything. But I'll take 1 first-round pick at this point. No, I won't. Not for Zach LaVine. Anyway. Hi, it's me again. If you enjoyed what you just saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We do live shows every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.